What a glorious day. I'm going to be showing you around this stunning farm. It's called Rodau Farm, a property with around 10 acres of land, or just over 4.2 hectares. It's only a couple of minutes away from a beautiful village called Fornos de Algodres, which is in Central Portugal. One of the biggest selling points here is all the water. There's a permanent stream, there's natural springs, wells, water tanks, and a gravity-fed irrigation system. You've also got a fully registered 4-bedroom home that's ready to move right into, along with fertile land, vineyards, olive trees, and several outbuildings that you can also convert into living accommodations. Now, Fornos de Algodres has a selection of cafes, restaurants, shops and supermarkets, and if you need more amenities you can get to the city of Guarda, which is only around 35 minutes away. Now, for international travel, the city of Porto and its international airport are around 1 hour and 45 minutes away, while Lisbon and its international airport is roughly 3 hours by car. And if you want more information about this property, please have a look in the video description. I'm going to put a link directly to the seller so that you can negotiate with them, and who knows, this could be your property. So here is a map showing the layout of the land and exactly where we are standing right now. And we're going to start with the main house. This is the 4-bedroom home. This is the front door. You walk up these steps over here, and just to the side here we have the kitchen door. Now I'm going to go through the kitchen. As we can see from the outside, we've got like aluminium shutters and all of the windows already. The house is serviced by mains electricity. It has water that comes from water mines and springs, and then it has a septic tank system for all the sewage. In the kitchen here we have this fireplace. They've already got a wood burner in there. We've got an electric oven stove, and then we have a kitchen sink, double sink. Now this is a very basic kitchen. There are plans to actually refurbish this place, but as you can see, everything is livable as it is. This is the bathroom, so we have the bathroom vanity unit and sink. Quite a big bathroom actually. Look, there's space for a toilet and a bidet, and if we flip around this way, we've got space over here for a walk-in shower. It's all very usable. I mean, someone could actually move in just as it is and start the renovation slowly. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to go through this way, and I'm going to show you the plan. So this is like a dining room, living room area, and we've got windows going all around. And this, on the table over here, these are the plans to the property. So what we're looking at here now, as I'm going to put up on the screen, is the current building as it is now, and we're going to see what the layout looks like, how the 4 bedrooms are laid out. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the new plans. And this is actually going to turn this, instead of having 4 small bedrooms, it's actually going to end up showing 2 larger bedrooms, and that's going to happen because they're going to knock down dividing walls. So if you want more detail about those plans, have a chat with the seller. They've got all of these ready here to go, and as I walk through, I'm going to try and explain them a little bit better. We've got some nice views looking out the windows. This looks back to the sort of parking area in the front here where I started the video. We've got gorgeous views. This is the front door on this side. And over here, this would be one of the 4 bedrooms in its current format. So as you can see, the actual room is kind of small. And the idea is that they're going to take the wall down and expand the size of the bedroom. Now what's interesting to note is that all of the interior walls are removable. The actual supports, the concrete beams, go all the way across. So you can actually knock all of these interior walls around, and you can change the entire shape of the inside of the house if you want to. And if we go through here, this is going to be the other bedroom that you would knock through the wall into. And then if we look out here, this is where the views get really interesting. So this is the land as we look down, and the land extends all the way across there. Oh, I just slammed the front door. All the way across there, and all the way across in this direction, and all the way up there. So there's an enormous property. So that would be like the upstairs section where you're going to take 2 bedrooms, 2 smaller bedrooms, and potentially turn them into 1 larger bedroom. And then there's this space over here. So this is kind of like potentially another bedroom, but this would lead downstairs. And then this is a section that again could also be turned into another 1 big bedroom. So you've got this smaller room over here. It's all nicely tiled. It's definitely livable. It's obviously very echoey in here right now because, we've got no furniture. But yeah, look at this. So these are showing some of the windows from the outside. These are the windows that we were looking out at the view. And if I stand in this corner and turn you around, this is what this would look like. So basically this is a small room, but we can take the wall down here and we can open it up into this space. And this is already a much larger room. And along this wall over here, you could have your wardrobes and things. And along this front wall here, because you're taking this dividing wall out, you'd have a big window spanning across. And lots of space for, you know, your bed and your furniture. And then you'd have these incredible views. Look at that. So already it's got lots of potential, but it's livable as it is. And if we just go back up the stairs again and back through into the kitchen area, this concludes the interior of the 4-bedroom house. And now we're going to go back outside, and now we've got some more buildings. So across on this side over here, we have this whole section over here. There's actually another building over here that could be turned into a flat. In fact, before we get there, I actually need to pan around this side, and I just need to show you these. So I've already opened up all the doors and everything. This is basically like the pump room. This is the pump and the pressure balloon and the water tank. Now the water gets sent to the property by a water mine. It also gets into the property by a spring. So you have two different water sources. Over here we have the water heater, so it's a gas water heater. And on this side over here we have storage for the gas bottles. And then this little section over here, not much going on over here, but perhaps you could use it for storage or something. And walking back in the other direction, we have these little granite steps that lead us up into another really nice area. Now this could be renovated into its own little studio flat. It's currently was used as a place to have large banquets. So the Portuguese family that lived here would put a big table in here, and they would have parties with friends and family. And it was like an area, you know, where you could have lots of people inside the room. And have a look at this. The views from outside the window. So we're at a really privileged spot here. We're looking out in the distance over the Serra da Estrela, which is the tallest mountains in mainland Portugal. And so we've got two beautiful windows looking out and over the land. And then from this side we can see it's a really big room. It's got a big granite fireplace over there. It's got electricity, it's got lighting. I think it's got a lot of potential to turn into a beautiful studio flat. And then if we go out and down, we've got loads more buildings to see. 10 acres is a good sized homestead. And coming down from those stairs, just below that building where we were upstairs now, this is like a farm kitchen. So this is like an outside farm kitchen. They're quite common on these little farms in Portugal, where you would have like a sort of farm kitchen. Now this is a type of kitchen where you would make big fires, you'd have a rack over here and you would smoke chorizo, so you'd smoke like pork sausages, smoke some cheeses. And over here they've got like a big gas oven and cooker, double sinks, old cabinets. I mean, you can see that this was well used back in the days, you know, but this would have been like the sort of dirty kitchen, like the kitchen where you cook all the smoky, dirty stuff. And yeah, it's got a lot of character, especially with these metal doors. And then if we look out in this direction, we've got a tap running, and you may wonder why this tap is running. This is fed by a spring, and basically if it doesn't come out of this tap, it's still going to be running. It's actually running from up here somewhere, and basically it's just running into this tank. So I thought I'd just leave it open now, just so you can see the water comes from here, from the spring, underneath the road, and it ends up in a big tank just over there, which we're going to have a look at, and then works its way down the fields. This is also quite interesting. Look at this. This is big granite slabs, and it's a huge tank. Look at this. This is a big vat, and what they would do is they would harvest the grapes, put all the grapes in here, and then they would stamp on the grapes, and this is how they would basically start the first process of making wine. And at the bottom here we've got the big taps that open up and let all of the juice and all of the liquid out. Now something like this, imagine you were to take this water source, plumb it into this tank, so that this tank is constantly flowing with fresh water, and you could have, I don't know, fish in here. You could turn it into a little swimming feature. Very cool. But yeah, you've got a lot of options when you have water like this. It just runs constantly. And then coming from here we have another sort of outdoor kitchen area, but more basic. This is where we have an area to barbecue, and we also have this big old Portuguese bread oven. Look at the size of this one. And let me just move move this aside, this is some of the old sort of utensils and things that were used for cooking outside. So you can do roasts in here and you can do breads. It's a really nice big one. You could do pizzas. You can basically cook anything that you can cook in an oven in here and get a really authentic smoky flavor and taste. And walking out of this area, just look at the views. It's absolutely beautiful. We've got these big olive trees. There's about 100 olive trees all over the land. Look, there's another big one over there. I think what we're going to do, we're going to work our way along this side of the building, then we'll go down in that direction in a bit. This is an area where they would basically harvest like potatoes and onions, and they would put them up here. This would be storage. Look, we've even got some beans. Look, so these are some of the feijoa, the beans. And this would be an area where they would store them so that they don't get moldy, so that they can dry out. And then we've got some steps that lead us up and into the sort of attic space, which is over here. I hope the camera's picking it up. So there's all of this storage space up here, and then the storage space also goes through in that direction, and there's even a little door to access it from the other side. And then if we come out through here, oh look, that's quite cute. When they laid the concrete, a little farm cat came walking through here and left its prints. Stuck forever in history and time. If we look across this side, we've got a nice big space for parking a tractor or a car or something like that. Just getting it out of the elements. And over here we have the same, but this one you can actually close. So this could be good if you have something valuable like a tractor or something to put in here. A little bit of storage above it. And then on this side over here, we have another garage, and this is a big lockable one. And I've just unlocked it now so you can have a look. It's made out of cement blocks. It's all dry. It's got a good roof on it, and yeah, nice little garage space. So if we walk a little bit further up from this garage space, it takes us into one of the little sections of forest. There's like little coppiced sections of forest up here. And I want to show you quite quickly because there actually are numerous sections of forest. So actually, hold on, let me just show you. This is the back of the buildings that we were just in, and that little doorway there that goes into the attic space. And then if we carry on up this little hill section here, we've got a beautiful pine forest. Now today I've already walked this entire property flat and examined it, and I thought that this was going to be the only pine forest. There's more pine forest, all in different sections, and it's all been very well maintained and looked after. And here we go. As we can see, all of the trees have basically been cut all the way up at least 3 meters or so. All of the brush has all been taken out. And although there are a couple of pieces here, the seller of the land is going to be removing those. This will all be nice and clean and clear. So we've just come back down from the forest, and we're going to work our way around this side. There is lots to show you on this property. And one of the things I haven't shown you yet is actually downstairs from the main house. There's quite a few structures to have a look at, which are quite interesting. There's also the options for some more little flats and things like that. Now over here, this is the old original bathroom. When this house was first built, it wouldn't have had a bathroom inside. So this is an old outside bathroom, and perhaps this could be turned into a little studio, a little office. It's got water, it's got electricity, and look, at the moment it even has space for a bidet, toilet, sink, and we even have a little bathtub in here. We have some beautiful views. Look at that. It's a nice little structure, and perhaps it could be turned into something else useful, or even just used as an outside bathroom. This is a look at the front of the house, and if we see, we've got these big old granite stone walls that end about there, and then we have the new structure. Now this new part of the house was added on in the 80s, and this is obviously a lot older. And one of the things that they've done here is they've pointed it up really badly with cement. But you know, you can just get a chisel, and you can chisel all of this out, and you can point this properly, and if you look, you've got some stunning big granite blocks there, and it could look absolutely amazing. And if we look a little bit further this way, we've got this big downstairs section, which is currently like a big barn or warehouse or something. This is downstairs from the main house. And what they used it for was for storing wine. There's lots of vines on the property, and they can make a lot of wine here. From in here, we can see the big granite stone walls, and just look at the size of these concrete beams going across, holding the house up. So really tough stuff. These are old cement wine vats. They would store the wine in here and mature the wine in here. And after that, the wine would go into bottles, and then you could store all those bottles along here. And down here, we've got electricity. We also have water, as you can see on the side. And I just want to show you what this will look like here. Look at this. We've got incredible views from up here. And the idea in the plans from the seller is to basically turn this into a beautiful calcaded patio, get rid of this chicken house over here so that the views open up, and then turn these two buildings here into two little flats that can be rented out. And if we go inside here, we can see we've got this flat is kind of divided up into two spaces. The idea is knock this wall down over here, and along this end over here build a bathroom, and then on this side over here we would have a bed where I'm standing, and we're looking back at the door that we just walked in through. You would have a big beautiful glass door over here that could be opened or just act as a big window, and then roughly in the center of the wall here there would be a door coming through, and that would take you through to the other area. And actually, you must excuse me, at first I said you're going to make two flats here. This is actually going to be one flat. So you'll have the one flat here, and you'll have the other flat in that upstairs room that we saw earlier. But yeah, this is going to make one flat. And if we go through this side, this is going to be where you'd have a little kitchenette and a living room. At the moment, this is where they would have sheep. So the sheep would come through here at night time, stay in here, and they would obviously be fed in these troughs. They were actually making cheese, like a sheep dairy farm back in the days. But this is what this looks like. And down here, the idea is also to put a big 2.4 meter window going across here, giving you some beautiful views looking out over the valley. So I think that's a really nice idea for a flat. And then imagine, as you come out here, you've got this lovely Portuguese calcada tiles, and it's a lovely little porch patio area. If you look up here, we've got a nice mature lemon tree, so you can have a beautiful lemons in the shade, and a really lovely little space separate from the main home, something that you could potentially rent out, or something if you've got a large family. This is looking back upstairs. One of the nice things about a property like this is all of the different options you have. So I think we're going to go back on ourselves a little bit, but a slightly different route. This is that outside bathroom, and obviously this is looking back up to where the house is. And what we have is quite a nice little feature here. We've almost got like a circular driveway. So this would probably be where you pull up with your car, and then you can come around through here and park underneath this amazing pergola that is covered with some beautiful table grapes and an absolute stack of them. Just look how many grapes you can grow on there. Now, something interesting to point out as well is this little spot around this place over here is where they've already got a license to dig a borehole. So it's all licensed already. It just has to be dug. And we've got lots of fruit trees. Look at these. These are peaches. Got a whole stack of them just growing here. There's peaches, there's pears, there's apples, there's olives, there's grapes. There's a whole bunch of things. Just look at this beautiful olive tree. And then let's get into the shade here. Let's see if I can show you some of the grapes that are just growing here. And I mean, there's just stacks of them. Look at this. Look at that. And these are sweet table grapes for eating, not for wine. There's plenty of wine ones also growing along. Now, we're in the middle of summer and we're in the middle of July. It's absolutely boiling in Central Portugal, but it's beautiful to have spaces like this where you can just be underneath the shade, and there's also lots of water. So this is one of the big tanks, and basically it gets its water from the other side of the little bridge. This is basically a stream that runs all year round. Now, obviously in the middle of summer the stream goes a little bit slower, and the water comes all the way down here, all the way down the mountains, and passes right through the land. So you've got this lovely little bridge area. This is actually still part of the property, so if you go along this road here, all of the land on this side belongs to the property. This is a neighbouring property over here, and we've got a neighbouring property happening here. But I'll show you on a map exactly where we're standing, and then you can see the shape of the land. And as we go down here, look, we've got some beautiful granite rock steps that is taking us down, and we can see here, this is that little tap that we opened. Remember the little tap by the house? That's coming from a spring, and look, this is just running permanently into this beautiful bit of water. That's a little bit of stream that I showed you from the other side of the road, now that runs like an absolute torrent in the winter. Here is some video of that actually running a couple of months ago. So you can see it really runs a lot. And then we've got another little bit of video showing you the water running into the tank and out of that tank. So you can get a lot of water through here. Now obviously in the middle of summer, you have, this tank can still hold water. You just put the little sluice gate down and you have a whole stack here. And then you also have ways of getting the water around. So look, we've got a black pipe over here, and this pipe heads on down through the fields. And then we also have another pipe which is over here, and that you can attach other pipe work to. You can open it up and you can send water all along these terraces. So for instance, you could grow potatoes or whatever you want to grow, like over here, and you could irrigate this, or you could send it down and down and down and down. So you've got lots of different options for irrigating the land, and you've also got lots of fruit and things growing all over the place. More peaches. As we walk down here, we can see even more peaches, and we've got even more terraces that are running down in this direction. Over here we have something that's quite interesting. This is thistle, and when you're making cheese, you need something called rennet, or it's like a type of enzyme, and you can get that enzyme from thistle or from rennet. It basically helps turn the milk into curds, and from that you can make cheese. So they're growing their own thistle here, and there's a whole bunch of it here, and also down on another terrace. So we're looking back in the direction of the water tank, and this is the terrace that we walked along. Look at these beautiful granite stone walls. This is the little outside bathroom area, and just below we have a little building over here. I'm not sure exactly what it's for, but I've been told that they might have kept dogs here in the past, which is why they have something that you can attach a lead to, and that would have been the dog house. Now I'm not sure I would keep a dog in there, but if I did live here and I misbehaved, I might be sent there. This is starting to give us some of those views now. This is just in front of the doghouse area, and again we see the Estrella Mountains, and we can just see into the distance. This property from up here gives you views all over the place. It also has numerous big granite stones, which I absolutely love. And down here we have a water tank. So this is like a big water tank. You can basically send water into this tank from up here. So these taps and things that are all using that spring water, you could just divert it down here, and you could have this as a beautiful pond, or even a beautiful little swimming pool. Fix it up. Imagine sitting in this tub on a nice summer's day with a beer and just surveying your property. That's what I call rural luxury. And now walking on a little bit further, we can see some of the big granite stone walls that are propping up this section of the house. So this is the section of the house where the sheep stays. This would be the living room and the kitchen of that downstairs flat if you wanted to renovate it. And we got these big beautiful rocks there. This would also be the space where you have a big window, and further on above, and we'll see a little bit better later, if you look at the house, we'd also have a repeating big window there in the renovations of the house. Now we head on to 10 acres or 4.2 hectares of land. Multiple forests, multiple water sources, tons of trees. So yeah, join me. I'm going to show you on a map exactly where we are right now. And right over here is a huge fig tree. There's quite a few fig trees all over the property, and it gives some beautiful shade, especially at this time of year. If we look to our right as we come down, we've got the first sort of terraces and the second terraces and the third terrace, and they kind of make their way down. Now I would imagine that in the past these were the terraces that they would probably be growing things for the house, like their vegetable gardens, potatoes and onions and vegetables and salad stuff, and it would all be close to the house here at this section. And then walking down, look how they've taken the granite steps. They've actually carved little steps into the granite stones. How cool is that, eh? And these are old original features from the owners that would have looked after this land back in the days. This would have been a big sort of sheep farm for sheep, for meat, and also for milk. Over here we have another water tank. Look at this. So this is how you can move water from those upper terraces, and you can bring it down onto these lower points here. So this, coming out of the wall, that's a water mine. This is a very small water mine. It's basically a passage drilled into the rock where a spring comes out, and the spring basically fills up this tank. Now the reason why this tank isn't full at the moment is because they've opened up the sluice gate at the bottom here, so that the water can sort of find its way down and into the bottom fields. But normally what would happen is, if you closed it, this would be a nice little pond area, and then you could use that to drip irrigate through this terrace over here and also down onto the next terraces. And we're going to see as we walk around that there's multiple points. I mean, I'm talking there are two large water mines. One of them is huge. That's the smallest one there. And then there's obviously a lot of big tanks. So the land extends in this direction over here. I'm going to show you on a map where we are. And we're going to go down also again. We've got some little steps cut into the granite. And we're going to go down to this over here, which is a really big water tank. All made in concrete blocks. Now I believe this one is this one also? Yes, it is. This is a water mine. So in the rocks over there, there's a water mine. I'm going to show you a video that was taken by the seller, and you can actually see all the way into the water mine. It's basically, it's like a passage that's been made into the rocks there, and then it goes through different water aquifers, and then the water leaks and comes out here and basically fills up this whole section. This goes down about another meter from where we are looking right now. And obviously in the winter time, something like this is going to be really roaring. And you know, in the summertime, obviously the water does slow down a bit, but there is water permanently here on the farm, which is a really great feature. And look at the size of this huge granite boulder. You're going to see a lot of these big boulders all over the place. So we've walked from the tank past the rock. I just want to show you what this terrace looks like. We've got a huge apple tree over here. The terrace kind of ends there and drops down. If we look across this way, we've got a huge fig tree. And if we look to our left, we have another terrace. Now this terrace goes into a little bit of forest. This is actually the next little bit of forested section, and I'm going to show you that now. And as we've got such a lot of ground to cover, I'm just going to zip over there quickly and show you what the forest looks like. This is another pine forest. Now as you can see, the seller, they've already cut all of the old dead branches and everything. They've also trimmed all of the branches from the bottom of the trunks. They've cleared all of the weeds and vegetation out, and there's a couple of little piles of wood. They say that they're going to come back and they're going to collect those, and so this will be nice, clean and clear, and a nice little safe bit of forest. And I'm going to just walk through this forest a little bit. We can actually see the main big field of the farm behind me here. I'm going to walk through this forested section just to get a little bit of shade. Actually, I'm going to stop here and give you some views. So we've walked along here. There's a little track going down here, and this opens up into a huge field section. Look at this. Absolutely amazing. And I'm just going to walk out of this little forested bit here so we can join up with that sort of lower terrace section over there. I'm going to show you on a map exactly where we are right now. And in this corner over here there is a stone ruin. So I'm not sure exactly what this ruin was, if it was like a house or if it was a barn or what it was. But what's happened is the previous owners of the land, they've actually taken all of the old stones and they've used them throughout the property to build up, terrace walls and things like that. So a lot of those stones have actually been taken and they've been used all around the property. But as we stand here, just have a look. This is looking all the way back up to the house up there. And this is looking back to that other little forested section. It is a very epic bit of land, this. Very, very epic. Now, something like this is going to lend itself very well to, obviously, sheep and goats. This is what it was used for in the past. But I imagine down here, you've got plenty of space for horses. You're going to see, actually, as we walk around and we go up the other side of the property here, that there's all of these different tracks and things. Now, if you had horses, you've got 10 acres to run and walk your horses through, and these big areas over here. So we are going to walk through this first little bit because there is a well. Now, on our way to the well, I want to point out that all of these trees, all these oak trees and things, look, all of the lower branches have been removed. There's been a lot of work here that's gone into basically neatening and tidying the place up and keeping it fire safe. And where they've got all of these branches on the ground here, they're actually still in the process of mulching them. And we're going to see in a moment there's a mulching machine over there. And before we get to that, I'm just going to walk to that end of the field and show you the well. These are two wells right next to each other, both spring-fed. This one has a nice concrete lid on it. This one over here is made out of concrete rings as well, but it's basically open. And listen for this. 6 meters deep, full of water. Look at that. If we turn in the opposite direction, we can see there's a big machine over there. They've been using this to basically turn all of the branches and all the offcuts into wood chippings. Now what most people do is when they have a lot of pruning and stuff, if you're doing your olives, because we've got a big field of olives here, you'll prune the olives and then you'll make big fire pits and you'll burn it. But what this does, if you put it through the wood chipper, is you make really nice mulch. And this mulch, if you spread it all over your fields, helps to keep water in. It helps little organisms and things to basically live inside the soil. And if you keep doing that, because obviously this is the first time that it's happened, if you were to keep doing this year on year, you could really make these fields really nice and fertile. Right, so I have something pretty spectacular to show you, and well, follow me. It's basically in front of us, and it's on the rock face, just in front of where the house and all the buildings are. So this over here is a waterfall. Now we're in the height of summer. It's been an incredibly hot summer. We've had massive heat waves, and right now we do have just a little bit of a trickle going down here. But just look at these boulders. Okay, so we can actually see, the seller was saying, look how the boulders are completely smooth and they don't have any vegetation on them. It's because in winter it comes roaring down here. So up at the top of this waterfall, there's a way that you can divert the water. So you can divert the water so it comes down here. You can also divert the water so it goes down this side and also acts as a waterfall down this little rock, and then fills up this concrete tank over here. And the reason why you'd want to do that is because this concrete tank can be used to irrigate this entire field over here. This is a field where the owners used to grow corn, and if you want to grow corn without any irrigation, they basically don't produce corn. They just produce a green stalk that your sheep can eat. But if you do irrigate it, then you actually do get the corn cobs. Those corn cobs they can then use for eating, and they can also get the seeds from those corn cobs to plant the next year's crop. So imagine in the winter time, in the springtime, in the autumn time, when the rains come, you're going to have a beautiful waterfall rushing down here, and it also goes through this granite stone sort of channel here and all the way through the property. Now you may think you've seen enough water on this farm, right? There's even more. And there's something even more impressive water-wise coming up, so do stick around. As we go along here, we can see a couple of little vines and things. Don't worry, this is not the vineyard. There is a big vineyard, and it's all the way up this hill and on the other side over there. So we do have a little bit of ground to cover, but on the way there I've got so much interesting stuff to show you. So we have all these young olive trees over here. These are looking almost old enough to produce. I'm pretty sure that these larger ones are going to be producing, because they take around 5 years to produce, and I'd say that these are that old, if not a little bit older. And then just ahead here is a little granite bridge, so you can get your tractors and stuff across. This is like the waterway. So this is the waterway down here. You can see there is water in there now. It's the water coming from that waterfall section up there. And up here we can see we've also got some irrigation pipes. So look, there's an irrigation pipe over there coming from the waterfall. And I believe there's another pipe. I think if you attach this black pipe here, you can send water further on down in that direction. And then this is a field which is quite impressive. You know, at this time of year in central Portugal, to have a field that's kind of green, it's not being irrigated or anything, and it's kind of green, is very impressive. It shows you that, you know, we're at the low point of the land here, and that there is a lot more water. And something like that's going to be very important, you know, if you do want to keep horses, if you want to keep sheep and livestock, is you're going to want to keep your fields nice and green so they have stuff to eat. Now on this big open space here, there is another little water tank. So let's go across there now. And I'll show you on a map where that water tank is. And we're just about to arrive now. So this is a tank that is fed by another tank that's fed by a water mine. And we can see we've just got the water just trickling through. Middle of summer, of course. And again, towards the end of summer and winter and autumn and spring, you're going to have a lot more water. And this is just a tank that can then be used to also irrigate this field a little bit if you want. It's just running through. And this little tank is fed by a bigger tank up there that we're going to get to in a moment. So as you can see, this is a really nice big open space. We're going to walk our way along the edge here, and then we're going to go up. There's these roads and tracks, dirt tracks, that take you all the way up and back up to the entrance of the property. And in fact, these dirt tracks are navigable. Let me try that again. These dirt tracks are navigable by a regular car. So they've taken a Renault Clio down here, a Toyota Yaris, you know, so you can actually get down here with a regular car, which is pretty impressive. So let me show you where we are on the map. We've just walked to the edge of the field, and now we're looking back over the field in the direction of the waterfall, back towards the house. Just look at the house up on the hill there, with its commanding view all over this whole farm section. And we are standing on the edge sort of border, and we've got this track now that runs up. And I want to point out, obviously it's a very hot day today, and as I'm walking around here, we've got lovely little shaded areas where I can sort of stop and cool off a little bit, let my cameras cool down because they are stressing and overheating. And on the way up this track, I want to point out that we've got loads of fruit. Look at this. All of these pears just growing in this tree here. These are mature fruit trees that are just growing here. There's absolutely no irrigation. Obviously, if you were to irrigate these, you'd have much better results. But it's still, I mean, you've got all of these mature trees and even younger trees like younger oaks and things going all the way along these tracks. And walking along these tracks gives you a real sense of the scale of this land. You've got these lovely flat sections, and then you've got these lovely terraced sections. So you've got lots of flat areas, and you don't have these sort of sloped fields. It's going to be perfect for horses and things, perfect for sheep. And there are a couple of little slopey areas. Maybe you can get some goats if you want. Now, if you do that, those animals are going to keep the grasses low and everything and help you maintain this place. As I climb a bit further, we've got a little terrace that goes down the road a little bit. Do we need to go down there? Is that where the other water tank is? No, we're going to get to it from up here. So we've got the other tank just over there. On my farm I have two tanks. I use the one tank as I call it an agricultural water tank, but I've painted it blue, and I sometimes dip in there in the summer when it gets hot. But essentially these are agricultural water tanks. They're supposed to be used for irrigation and stuff. Look at this one. What I quite like about this one is it actually has this little edge, so if animals were to fall in here, they could actually get out, which is quite sweet. I don't think that was the intention. I think this was a scrubbing board for washing laundry, but I'm glad it's there. We can see this is spring water that's coming in here from further up where we've got more springs. And we even have another pipe over there. I don't know if you can see it. More pipes leading in here, just trickling water into this beautiful, beautiful section. I'm just standing in the other corner here, just looking at this tank. Really cool. If I had a towel with me and I wasn't filming, I'd probably hop in there. This is another pipe that's running through the ground, and it comes from a huge water mine. This is the biggest one I've ever seen. Look at that. So this little tank here this big tank has a whole bunch of different water sources all pointing into it. It's never going to run dry. And on our way to this tank over here, I just want to point out there are some terraces. So there's a terrace here, a terrace here. This is a lower terrace, and then we've got the one at the bottom there is the big green section that they used to grow corn. That's where the tank is, and this is where the track is that continues to run all the way back up, joining up with the house. I hope I haven't made you dizzy there, and I hope I'm not panting too hard into the microphone, but it's been quite a walk so far of these 10 acres. Look at this. So this is a water mine. Now, I'm going to try and see how far I can get in here. It's very muddy and I'm sinking in. But I'm sinking deep. Okay, this is the water mine. So imagine a mine that goes into the rocks, and it basically cuts through different aquifers and springs, and then that water will trickle through. There's a little bit of a lip, a little bit of like a wall, a little lip there, and that is basically to dam up the water, and then the rest of it all trickles through, as you can see here. And they've put pipes underneath the ground that obviously feed other water tanks. But it's a lovely thing to have that. I mean, geez. Another thing worth mentioning, it's about 30 meters deep. So it goes all the way down into the ground. You can actually walk through there if you have boots, apparently. But I don't have any boots. I don't fancy getting muddy feet right now and going into a dark hole in the ground all on my own. So the water mine is just over there. We've just walked our way up and around, and now we're going to go up the track a bit more. I just want to point out how we've got the sort of limit of the land on the side here, and then it goes up in this direction, and then the land actually does jut out. It juts out and goes to a big vineyard. So I've got a bit of climbing to do here. We're going up. I'll tell you something, if you had this property and you walk this every single day, you would be exceptionally fit. It's awesome. You do have those flat sections for easy walking. You can drive it in your car, you pick up your tractor, or you could walk it. Excuse my So we've just walked up all the way down there and up. Look at these beautiful granite boulders. And we've got more terraces leading down in this direction. These are the big boulders that make up the waterfall. And I believe from up here is the part where you can divert the waterfall flow. And I'm just going to fast forward us there. So from the track that we're walking on, if you just go down this little branch here and down and around, you've got all the big boulders there, and that's where you can divert the water between the waterfall or the water tank. And then to our left, there's a huge boulder just off the track on the left-hand side. Look at the size of this one. I love big granite stones like that. Then we got a lot more dotted around the roads and the tracks. Some huge trees. This one over here is a huge cherry tree. Can you believe it? Look at the size of that. Look at the size of its trunk. And we also have lots of very mature and large olive trees. So we see this one in the background here, one on the lower terrace, and on the other side of the road, look at these big ones here. All this upper terrace also belongs, and back in that direction also belongs. And we are nearly joining up with the track by the little bridge and the first water tank. Got some more peach trees, and down here we have orange trees in this little section. And this is the top of what that track looks like. So this is the entrance road. This is the track that we just walked up. If we pan over here, this is that first water tank that we looked at. And this is the little bridge with the stream that runs in. And then obviously this is the entrance to the house and the property. So let me just show you a map quickly so you can orientate yourself. You're going to see exactly where we are, the borders and boundaries of the land. And now we're going to walk onto this next section up here. And this takes us to the vineyards. We also have these little terrace bits here. So there's this terrace bit, there's another terrace bit down here, and then this little bit here is the track that we took up when we went there earlier. So walking up to the vineyards, you can see they're quite tidy. We've got granite stone wall on this side. This is the neighboring land over here. This is the track going to the house. As you can see, the track's in fairly good condition. It's a tarred track, and you can get pretty much any car down here. And then on the left here, look, the vines. Look at the grapes. So they've all been pruned, and they've all been trained along like the trellises and things. And they're in pretty good condition if you look, producing quite a lot of grapes. And over here, this is another well. Now this has been covered with a concrete lid. I'm assuming that there's water in here, because there's water in all the other things. But look, nice big vineyard, lots of rows. And then if we carry on, it gets even bigger. Look at this. So up this track a little bit more, and we've got even more vineyard coming up on our left here. And I am getting out of breath now because this is quite a walk. And look at this. More and more rows. So you've got all of these rows of vineyard. If you're someone that wants to produce your own wine or grape juice, look at all of this. And it doesn't end there, believe it or not. It carries on up the track a bit more. We can see we've got some forest ahead of us. And this forest belongs to the property. A whole bunch more forest on this side. A couple of little trees on this side, fir trees. And from up here we can see the vineyards really well. And if I just move to this side, we can see the farmhouse. Very impressive, huh? I mean, this is a lovely Portuguese quinta. Sheep farm, olive farm, grape farm, chickens, bring some horses, maybe some of those Portuguese Miranda donkeys. And yeah, so I'm just walking down this track so you can see basically all of this forest, and it basically ends just over there where this sort of gully is over here. It goes up in a straight line up to the road, and then you've got all of this forest section. This is the little track that we walked up, and then this over here where the ground drops down, this is the limit and the borderline. This is a neighboring house over here, or building, and then your land goes across this way and into the vineyards. So you've got quite a nice barrier between you and your neighbor. You definitely can't see them, you definitely aren't overlooked. The land is very private. You've got this house perched up on the hill giving you these incredible views, and then you've got the land spread out into these beautiful fields, forested sections. I mean, what is that, 3 forests if I'm not mistaken? You're going to have plenty of firewood for your log burner, for your wood burner, even for woodworking projects. And then you've got your own vineyard for making wine. I mean, that's something that's going to be pretty priceless, because you also have all of that space downstairs for that winemaking area. So yeah, I mean, you could produce pretty much on your first year. And now I'm just walking to the corner of the vineyard here, and we can see we've got a variety of different grapes. We've got a mixture of white grapes and red grapes. I don't actually know the exact varieties. Perhaps the seller can let you know. He was saying that there's Swiss and French varieties, apparently, and also Portuguese varieties that have been planted here. So there's very good quality grapes. And we have row after row of really healthy looking vines going all the way across. So I'm just walking back up to the farmhouse now to end the tour. I think we've pretty much covered everything. One thing I wanted to point out is that this water that's coming out of the spring here, this is it's been tested and it's safe to drink. So yeah, fresh spring water. And well, this is a real bonus for sure. So I'm just taking a moment to cool off here. Near the house, I'm just sitting with the peach trees and underneath a beautiful olive tree. It's been an absolutely epic tour. Let us know what you think in the comments below about the property and also about the video. And if you are interested in buying this property, I'm going to put the seller's contact details in the video description below. The seller is Dennis. His name is Dennis and he's from the Farm Specialists. And I just want to say a big thank you to Dennis for hiring me to film this property. I've really enjoyed today. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. It's been an amazing tour. And yeah, if you want more information about the property and you want Dennis's contact details, look in the video description below. I'm also going to put it in the top pinned comment on YouTube. And I'm going to put all the information about the property, the current asking price, and all of Dennis's direct contact details. And although we cover everything in detail, and I try and get all the different angles with my cameras and the drones, and I really try and show you guys what this place looks like, nothing beats standing on the ground with your own 2 feet. So if you do want to buy a property like this, I do recommend that you get hold of Dennis and come and have a visit, come and have a look around. I'm pretty sure you're going to fall in love with this place, just as I have today. And who knows, this could be your next Portuguese paradise farm. All the best, everyone. See you soon in the next one. Ciao.